fall is here, with all its good sides like turning leaves and crisp mornings, and all the downside, like the constant struggle if you will turn on indoor heating in an attempt to stay cozy or hold on a little longer to save some money. It also means that it is time to change up my skincare routine. If you've been around here for a while, you know that I don't do major changes. My skincare philosophy is that you identify your main concerns. For me, this is year-round adult acne and well aging, and then one, maybe two more that you change up your routine for, which in my case is hyperpigmentation, because I love being outdoors. I love hiking, I love swimming, I love sitting outdoors, reading a good book, chatting with friends, all that stuff, and I've done it extensively in summer, and no amount of sun protection will ever be enough to prevent the dark spots I already have from very careless sun exposure in my early days, like the first 20-25 years of my life, from reappearing. So this is my updated fall skincare routine, morning and night, and a little explanation how you should adapt your skincare routine if fighting hyperpigmentation is your main concern. And if you're new here and wonder why you should care, I'm Dr. Anne. I'm a medical doctor with a passion for skincare, and I'm here to teach you how to best take care of your skin without making things too complicated. So how do you best target hyperpigmentation with your skincare routine? I'll show you the 5 steps you can target with your skincare product, and then highlights on which place in my routine I use which product for that purpose. Step 1 is obviously triggering hyperpigmentation, which is usually in most cases sun exposure, UV light, that triggers melanin production, that brings the melanocytes to migrate into certain areas and clump together, forming these spots. It could also be inflammation. Usually there is a genetic disposition for that. It is more common in people with a deeper or more melanated skin, but can also appear in others. Step 2 is the production. Melanocytes are activated and they start producing melanin, like the factory is gearing up for production. The third step is packaging, like the melanocytes produce melanin, and this melanin needs to be packaged in small vesicles or bubbles that transport the melanin to their recipients, the cell that waits for it for protection. These packing bubbles are called melanosomes. Step 4 would be the actual distribution, like the parcel leaves the factory and goes to the recipient. And step 5 is when the melanin has arrived in the cell and the cell has distributed it to protect its DNA, which is the step where it can only get rid of the whole cell, because once it's there, it's done. All 5 steps can be targeted. The first one, preventing the trigger, is obviously the most important, and it makes more sense to target every step in this 5-step process than to use 5 things that target exclusively step 2 and ignore the others. My mornings start with a quick microcurrent routine. I like the lifting and plumping effect it gives my skin. I don't really see a long-term effect, but it helps me accept that the thing looking at me from the mirror is really myself. I use the Zip Halo, but any microcurrent device or any reputable microcurrent device will do. I just like with this one the short preloaded programs that it contains, and that it's easy to grab, it's not too heavy. After I've done that, I cleanse my face to get rid of the gel I used, and for that I use the Inkilist Fulvic Acid Brightening Cleanser. Don't be fooled by the name. It has brightening in there, but I don't think it does anything to combat hyperpigmentation. Fulvic acid is not an exfoliating acid, and I don't really think it does much anyway. Never understood why the Inkilist put that as the name-giving ingredient. The only thing it does contain that will target hyperpigmentation is licorice root extract. Licorice root extract has some good data. I have a whole playlist on hyperpigmentation and a video on the 10 best ingredients where you can listen up on all the ingredients that I'm mentioning here. But even if it had the right concentration, which I don't know, I just know that it's in there, I don't think it would have the maximum effect in a wash-off product. Why do I use the cleanser? Because it's non-stripping, I like the texture, and because it's open and I need to finish some things. The next thing I use is my vitamin C. That is the Geek and Gorgeous Sea Glow one. I've been using it for years. It's my favorite. You're probably sick of hearing about it. And the L-ascorbic acid has two effects. One, it inhibits tyrosinase, which means it targets step 2, and it bursts the bubbles in which the melanin is transported, the melanosomes, meaning it targets step 2 and step 3. It also is an antioxidant and helps stimulate collagen production, so a staple in my routine year round. Then, this is an extra step, I use exfoliation. 3 times a week, salicylic acid, which might say is anti-inflammatory and might help with that, like step 1, preventing the trigger, but I mainly use it to combat congestion so I don't get breakouts. And then twice a week I use glycolic acid. The one I'm currently using is the Smooth Out from Geek and Gorgeous. It has a higher strength of glycolic acid than I used over summer, and the AHAs are responsible for helping the dead skin cells slough off. So they help me increase cell turnover and get rid of the cells that have the melanin that was triggered during summer. I started using it 3 times a week, like 3 times a week, both exfoliants, but that was a little much for my skin combined with the tretinoin I use at night. So right now it's 3 times salicylic acid, and for salicylic acid I use the Balea Beauty Expert one. I like it, but I much prefer the Paula's Choice one that I usually use, but I ran out of it, couldn't show it. Balea Beauty Expert is a fraction of the price, works just as well, but has a texture I don't like as much. Then I use an eye cream, not because you have to, because I have it, I like to finish it, and I feel like my eyes at my age need all the hydration they can get so they don't have deep set wrinkles in which my concealer starts to pool. And the one I'm using is the Faith Theory OQ Wake Pro one. It has been repackaged since I reviewed it, so you won't find this exact one on the homepage. It's nice, anything that's hydrating will do. And because my skin is quite dehydrated right now, which is not a good look no matter the time of year, I use a separate lightweight moisturizer, and the one I use is the Skin 1004 Tone Brightening Capsule Cream. This one has different ingredients that target hyperpigmentation and is very lightweight and hydrating, which is why I use it in my routine. It contains niacinamide, which hinders the distribution of the packed up melanosomes, so step 4, and it contains tranexamic acid. Now, the data on tranexamic acid isn't quite as good as it is on other ingredients, or let me rephrase that, there's very good data on oral or intravenous tranexamic acid, but basically nothing that convinces me on topical application. So I don't usually actively seek it out, but if it's in the product and I use it anyway, I'm not complaining. And then the last step is, of course, sunscreen, another product from Skin 1004, their Hyaluronic Sun Serum SPF 50+. This is one of the products I call office sunscreen because it's very cosmetically elegant and very lightweight. And yeah, I just enjoy it. It is hydrating, but not too hydrating, works well on the makeup, and I forget I'm wearing anything on my face after application. And that obviously targets step 1, preventing the trigger. And as you can see, if you look back, you have all the 5 steps targeted in one morning routine. Trigger, production, packing up, distribution, and getting rid of the melanated cells. Now for my evening routine, I obviously start with removing all the sweat, makeup, dirt, pollution that has accumulated on my face overnight. That isn't really a step regarding hyperpigmentation, although you could argue that pollution on the skin leads to inflammation and that might make things worse, but it's just, yeah, common sense to cleanse your face. And I use a cleansing oil for that, the Skin 104 Centella Light Cleansing Oil. I like it because it's lightweight, it breaks down my makeup, it emulsifies and doesn't leave a film on my skin, but that's personal preference. It doesn't have a dedicated step why you should use it if you want to target hyperpigmentation. I don't always double cleanse, especially during fall, because with the wind and sometimes indoor heating, my skin tends to be a little dehydrated. I reserved up cleansing for the days when I did a sweaty workout in a full face of makeup to really get rid of everything in my pores. And if I do that, I use like a more hydrating cleanser. The one I'm currently using is the Inkey Hydrating Cream to Milk Cleanser. I am still testing it. I wouldn't recommend it to remove your makeup because it doesn't do that very well and it stings the eyes, but for a second cleanse or morning cleanse, it is quite nice. So far I'm enjoying it. Full review will come eventually. Then I do my LED face mask. Not to target hyperpigmentation. I know they have it in their claims, but I don't know. I do it mainly for collagen production stimulation and to relax. And I really do not expect it to help with hyperpigmentation at all. Then I use a lightweight layer of hydration, the same I use during summer, the Skin 104 Centella Asiatica ampoule. It absorbs easily. It isn't the absolute utmost hydrating. I think I will move on to something more substantial when it gets colder, but for now it's like a good layer. Again, nothing specific to target hyperpigmentation. Then I use an eye cream. Right now I'm using the Banish brightening eye cream. Again, not because of the brightening claims. I don't have hyperpigmentation around the eyes. The dark circles I get are lack of sleep, and no amount of eye cream will ever be able to fix that. I need to work on that myself, and that is hard enough, but I like this eye cream because it is rich in texture without feeling greasy or giving me milia. It has some peptides, and these peptides apparently also target hyperpigmentation, but I don't know. The areas where I apply it, I don't struggle with hyperpigmentation. And then my routine differs if it's a tretinoin or a non-tretinoin night. I follow up the Centella Asiatica ampoule with a layer of Muad nutrient charged water gel. It is like a pink cloud texture that shouldn't really matter, but still does if you understand what I mean. I really enjoy the look of it in the tub, so I enjoy using it. And despite being called water gel, it is more substantial than you would probably expect. It has a lot of ceramides, it has a lot of humectants, and also niacinamide. Niacinamide being the only thing in this product that actively targets hyperpigmentation. Again, step 4, distribution. And the ceramides help with skin barrier repair, which doesn't hurt if, like me, you're using tretinoin. And after that is absorbed, I follow up with tretinoin. I use that mainly for my adult acne and for well aging. Tretinoin does a little bit of everything when it comes to targeting hyperpigmentation. A little bit of everything, but nothing very outstanding. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a hyperpigmentation treatment, which means when you look at my nighttime skincare routine, there isn't that much in my Tretinoin Nights specifically aiming to improve my hyperpigmentation. That is mainly reserved for the morning routine. If it is a non-tretinoin night though, I do all the same steps until I reach the Centella Asiatica ampoule. And then I do follow up with the Medik8 Advanced Liquid Peptides MP. These are again mainly for well aging and not for hyperpigmentation, although they do have in their 30% multipeptide complex a few peptides that claim to specifically target hyperpigmentation. Is like a tranexamic acid in my morning routine. It's like a nice bonus, not one of the main players, but I use that one. And then I follow up with the Inkey Alpha-Arbutin Serum. Arbutin is like the cousin, the weaker cousin of hydroquinone. And no, there's no need to be afraid of hydroquinone when used under a doctor's guidance. It's really a good ingredient, but it is nothing that I personally feel I need the way my skin looks. So I use alpha-arbutin, which has less irritation potential, but is obviously due to that also less effective. And it targets step 2 production by inhibiting the tyrosinase, but it does that in a more potent way that vitamin C, for example, does. It also has squalane, which means that if your skin is more on the oily side, it could work as a moisturizer for you. For me it's not quite enough, which is why I follow up with, again, the Murat Nutrient Charged Water Gel. And that's my routine. Sounds complicated, but actually isn't. I'm a huge advocate of not changing too much in your routine. I suggest building a routine that stays the same year round. Otherwise, you'll just get your skin massively confused, and then tweaking a little through the seasons. My backbone is always the same, targeting my main two concerns, adult acne and well aging. And then for fall, I put the target on hyperpigmentation by adding a few things extra or increasing a few things. That is much better both for your skin and for your wallet than doing the complete overhaul every 3 months. What is your main concern now that fall is upon us? Tell me in the comments, and also share what you have changed to target that, so we can all learn from each other. And if you enjoyed this video, you will most likely enjoy the ones linked on the screen here. Don't forget to check out the description box for everything else I have to offer, and like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video.